Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of the many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today's issue of the Neepawa Banner and Press is for Friday, May 30th, 2025. A place to call home. Neepawa's Habitat for Humanity breaks ground on its first build. And pictured the board members and supporters of Habitat for Humanity Neepawa, along with first project partner Richelle Cuisinne at Center, broke ground at the location for the community's first Habitat House on Monday, May 26th. By Owen Devereaux. Habitat for Humanity is celebrating the start of its inaugural home project in Neepawa. The shovels were officially in the ground as part of a ceremony held on Monday, May 26th, to commemorate the occasion. A large contingent of supporters were on hand to witness Richelle Cuisinne, the first partner with the housing build, as well as several Habitat board members, dig into the dirt to start construction. The structure itself will be a 970 square foot house with a basement and 2 bedrooms and is located close to the former Eastview Lodge property in Neepawa. Neepawa Habitat Steering Committee Chair John Lavich served as a master of ceremonies for the afternoon's festivities. He thanked everyone for not just attending the event, but for supporting the efforts of the local chapter. We couldn't have done this without everyone's help because it's a huge endeavor. There's a lot that goes on with this, said Lavich. There's a lot of generous donations from contractors who are donating time, businesses putting their money or materials into the project. It's really fantastic. You've really rallied around the cause, and it just goes to show that many hands make things light. So it's a great thing. Neepawa's Mayor Brian Headley was on hand for the ceremony, and in a statement from the town said that Neepawa Habitat is just another example of the generous people that make up our community and the surrounding region, and we wish you the very best and thank you for being a part of this great organization. Other dignitaries on hand included Christina Falk, the manager of chapter support for Habitat for Humanity Manitoba. She said it has been extremely impressive how quickly the Neepawa's Habitat has been able to get its first project going in less than a year's time. The tradition is that a smaller chapter usually takes about 3 years to fundraise for that first house. My husband and I started the Winkler Morden chapter and were able to build within a year and a half, and that was awesome. So John Lavich asked me at the start of all of this, what's the fastest a chapter has ever done it? And we told him, and he replied, we're going to beat him. Falk expressed to the reply of laughter from the assembled crowd. You are blessed in Neepawa to have so many in the community that really believe in working to help each other out. After the groundbreaking ceremony concluded, the Banner and Press spoke with Lavich about the exact timeline for the project. He noted the big machines will be on location within the next few days, and the beginning of work on the basement will be on go by the weekend. Lavich added that everyone is excited to be at this point of the process. We have a goal, and we're sticking to it. If we can make this work to what we want, it's going to be very exciting for the community. It's going to be fantastic, and not just for Neepawa. We want this to be something the region can be proud of and be part of. The mandate for Habitat for Humanity is to partner with a selected family, build a house to suit their particular need, and sell to them at fair market value. There is no down payment required, and the monthly mortgage that is paid is always 27% of the family's gross income. There are also other requirements for a family to partner with Habitat for Humanity, including the selected family putting in 500 hours of sweat equity. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's at the house building it. It can include improving their community in some manner. And moving on. Fun at the New Wave Neepawa Color Run. People turned out en masse in Neepawa's Rotary Park on the morning of May 24th for Rotary, the New Wave, Neepawa's Color Run. Scenes from this event are shown here with plenty of color and smiles to go around. You can see the pinks and yellows and greens. And Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. Never let bureaucrats get control. A Monday report in the Winnipeg Free Press stated that in an email to staff members, Manitoba Public Insurance, MPI, Chief Executive Officer Satvir Jatana said the Crown Corporation has decided to shut down the computer program used for special risk extension, SRE, renewals, and new policies for commercial customers, and return to the paper-based system it previously employed. The decision would not come as a surprise to Autopac customers, nor the many insurance brokers who are called upon multiple times a day to solve MPI screw-ups. I have personally seen Autopac agents struggle with their computer and phone calls to figure out on what should have been a simple question about a deductible clause on an SRE policy. Autopac has been messing with regular insurance and SRE for years now, and I found out that the regular insurance branch doesn't coordinate with the SRE people even when they work in the same building. The Free Press also reported Project Nova had been budgeted to cost $107 million when it was announced in 2020, but that price tag had swollen to $435 million earlier this year. The problem with Project Nova and the MPI leadership is that they simply didn't think things through. Having customers access a computer-based, online, self-enrolling, self-reporting insurance application and claim system made no sense at all. Having customers apply for renewals or claims by themselves without assistance from an agent was bound to fail. Customers might only access the computer system once or twice a year, not enough to get a real handle on how it all works. And if insurance coverage applied for by that self-administered model proved to be inadequate or defected, then where would the liability fall? Applying online for your own insurance coverage or claim makes about as much sense as customers getting behind the counter at a restaurant and cooking their own meal. It might work, but only until there's a problem, and problems will happen and at the worst possible time. Unfortunately, we live in a very lazy world where bureaucracy assumes every problem can be solved by clicking a few keys online. The assumption is the online solves everything, so explanation needed. Nobody needs to help out, and all the problems disappear into thin air. Business doesn't work that way. On a side note, this online click-a-button approach to every problem drives me crazy. When we got new phones a few years back at our office, the salespeople were very good, but couldn't understand why I didn't want a press 1 for English, press 2 for French. Why didn't I want music when people are on hold? Why didn't I want to have to press 1 for sales, press 2 for sports? Emphatic no. All I want is a few phone lines that can be answered by our front desk staff, and if the people on the front desk are tied up, anybody in the building can answer the phone, hopefully answer the question, or take a message. The only time our answering machine kicks in should be when there's no one in our office. In contrast, banks, credit unions, Hydro, Bell MTS, and WCG, and almost all companies have these multiple choice phone systems, which makes me wonder, does anybody actually work at these places? Or do they all hide out in the coffee room hoping customers will go away? The above little rant about phones doesn't directly affect the Autopac fiasco, but it does illustrate that Autopac and many other entities figure that everything can be handled online and without an agent or an employee actually making contact with their customers. Large companies, including Autopac, have to realize that their incompetence and indifference with customer service always causes unnecessary spending. In Autopac's case, it was well over $400 million of our money. wasted in a project that we knew wouldn't work. And a disclaimer, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as being the view of the newspaper staff. And Home Buddies by Rita Friesen, and I'm back. As many of you know, much of the pleasure of traveling is planning the trip. Well, I passed on that entirely. Marie planned every detail for our getting to and staying on the Isle of Iona, and then she and Rilla planned the itinerary for Belfast and Dublin. I, perfectly okay with that. The time away was better than I could have dreamed or imagined. 10 nights on the Isle. Each day was filled with sunshine, inspiration, time for reflection, and playing outside. There is theory that Bible is the little book and creation itself is the big book. It's from the Celtic belief system, and I can support that theory. The Isle itself is not large, approximately 1 mile by 3. The shores are rocky with crashing ocean waves, and the coves are filled with soft sand and sculpted dunes. There are several rises, hills almost, that have challenging climbs and wondrous views. After a most delightful breakfast, I didn't have to prepare anything. We attended the morning chapel session, returned to our room to read or rest, then picked up a lunch and headed out exploring. Somewhere along the way, seated on an outcropping of rocks, a bench overlooking the golf course, or on the grassy bank of the beach, we enjoyed our lunch, read for a bit, and returned to the hotel for a rest before supper and chapel. Do this and repeat for 9 days. My reading included a study of the 14 stations of the cross, a study of Jesus' final earthly journey, and a book by John Philip Newell, Sacred Earth, Sacred Soul. Both were good for my spirit and soul. A part of the time away was indeed a time of retreat, opening my heart to healing and health, finding direction, being refreshed and encouraged. The time on the Isle of Iona, the Abbey, the space and place, the friendship and the reading worked their magic. I am well. The quiet time on a magical isle was followed by time in Belfast and Dublin, museums, the zoo, music, great food, love and laughter. Again, I did not have to make a single decision unless I wished to. I was amazed and a little sad that I knew so little of the history or Ireland. In Belfast, our accommodation was in the heart of the war-torn zone in the time that's known as the Troubles. If open warfare, curfews, and restriction zones is troubles. We spoke with cabbies who wanted us to understand the depth of the rift and the difference between then and now. Folks who recalled clearly the fear and distrust of hatred that tore their community apart. This was in my lifetime. I suppose I was busy with my life or not have taken serious note of the conflict. The Titanic Museum was eye-opening as well and truly worth the time to simply sit in the reality of that time. The privilege and despair, all part of one story. It was comforting to learn of the changes in naval laws after the sinking and horrendous loss of life. And there'll be more next week. And Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine, looking ahead. In recent weeks, my feeling of national pride have grown a lot. They have not been triggered by any announcement from any level of government, but by the reactions of ordinary Canadians to the economic, immigration, and travel policies of President Donald Trump and his colleagues in the American cabinet and Congress. When the first round of tariffs was announced, Canadians did not wait for governments to act. Made in Canada labels soon appeared on our grocery shelves. We were given lists of companies that are owned and operated by Canadians and were urged to support them. And we couldn't help but smile when a sharp-eyed reporter checked the pocket tag on one of the President Trump's Make America Great Again hats and discovered that it had been made in China. But the change that has had the greatest impact has been in the significant reduction in the number of Canadians crossing the border for shopping trips, vacations, or to escape the harsh Canadian winters. The impact to the American economy, especially as it pertains to the border states, has been significant. But so has the honesty of people from many different countries who, when asked why they have chosen not to travel to the United States, honestly stated that they no longer feel safe doing so. To me, that last statement reveals the greatest tragedy we have suffered since January. Trade disputes can be settled. They may take time and extensive negotiations, but they can be resolved. But when one nation is unfairly demeaned by another and its citizens are made to feel unwelcome in a land that once greeted them with open arms, the trust that once existed between those nations is broken and will take many years to rebuild. But that raises another question. Are there any human leaders anywhere in our world who can be trusted to consistently treat all people within their borders with dignity and respect? Canadians asked this question many times during the COVID pandemic. Our courts ruled that our government had the legal right to impose the restrictions they did, but many citizens felt that our leaders lacked the moral authority to enforce the rules they set, especially when some of them openly and blatantly broke those rules. Rebuilding damaged trust will be our biggest challenge in the years ahead. It won't be easy. Everyone has a part to play in making this project a success. Governments, businesses, community organizations, schools, colleges, churches, and families must identify things they have done to weaken, damage, or destroy the trust that once existed between themselves and others. And we all must be prepared to do whatever it takes to rebuild that trust. Our future and the futures of our descendants depend on it. Rebuilding trust requires each of us to make 3 irrevocable commitments. First, we will listen before we speak or act. Then, having listened, we will take time for careful thought before responding to serious questions or addressing significant needs. Second, we will keep the promises we make. In the book of Proverbs, King Solomon tells us that it is better not to make a promise than to promise and not keep it. Third, we will live within our means. We will not waste the resources entrusted to us and then demand that we be paid more for the services we render. These 3 commitments can help build trust at home, in our community, in our country, and in our world. But one more thing is needed. We'll talk about that next week. And Blowing the Dust Off by Joel Asselstein, The Invisible Poison. My father once told me, what goes in must come out. Sure, this was about what I read and watched. But in our age of industrialization, I've learned a darker truth. Some things we ingest don't leave us, like microplastics. The hidden crisis in our bodies. Alarmingly, younger adults are developing dementia at rising rates. A key culprit? Microplastics. Studies reveal dementia patients have 10 times more microplastics in their brains than the average person. Research published in Nature Medicine shows microplastic levels in human tissue surge by 50% every 8 years, a trend holding steady since the first started monitoring it in 2008. For example, brain tissue, 3,345 particles per gram in 2016, compared to 4,917 in 2024. Liver and kidneys, median concentration of 433 and 404 particles per gram, respectively. Testes, a 2024 study found microplastics in 100% of samples, averaging 299 particles per gram. Year over year, we are finding a rise in cancers and neurological conditions, which in part can be explained by microplastic indigestion. The average Canadian ingests 40 microplastics daily, but excretes only 20. Here is how to tip the balance. Replace plastic with glass. Infants, bottle-fed babies using glass, not plastic, have 35% fewer microplastics by adulthood. Food storage, never microwave plastic containers. Glass is inert and safer. Drinking, a liter of instant formula in plastic cup contains 1.5 million particles. Glass cups have just 40. Filter your water. Tap water is cleaner than bottled. Use Brita or Zero water filters, 98 to 100% effective. Water treatment plants remove most microplastics, but advanced filters, for example, reverse osmosis, did extra protection. Rethink your diet. Avoid seafood and processed foods, especially microwave meals. Thin plastic liners leach particles. Choose fresh, underpackaged produce when possible. Upgrade your home. Synthetic clothing, for example polyester, sheds millions of microfibers per wash. Opt for natural fabrics like cotton or wool. Air filters. Indoor air has 1.5 times more microplastics than outdoor air. Change your HVAC filters at least twice yearly. 4 times is ideal. The bottom line, microplastics are everywhere, but small changes, glass over plastic, filtered water, and mindful consumption can drastically reduce your exposure. Protect yourself and future generations from this invisible poison. And again, at the disclaimer, the views expressed in this column are writers' personal views and not to be taken as being the view of the Banner and Press staff. And letters. Clear Lake reversal, deeply concerning. Editor's note, this letter, addressed and sent directly to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, is published with permission from our Member of Parliament's office. And this letter is from Dan Mazer himself. Dear Minister de Brusen, I am writing to express deep concern over Parks Canada's abrupt reversal of its decision to allow motorized boat access on Clear Lake in Riding Mountain National Park. The decision to impose a ban just days before the May long weekend with inadequate notice, consultation, or clear justification has blindsided the community and undermined months of preparation. Businesses, families, and visitors planned their season based on Parks Canada's earlier commitment this year to the one boat, one lake policy. That plan has broad support and was understood to be in place for the 2025 season. As recently as May 12, 2025, emails obtained show that Parks Canada was still advising that motorized boats would be permitted on Clear Lake. Then, without any public consultation or explanation, that guidance was abruptly overturned. When pressed for clarity, Parks Canada officials offered no explanation, leading the Brandon Sun to report that the agency did not directly answer the Sun on the question of what changed between January and May. Minister, communities around Riding Mountain National Park are losing confidence in the agency you were responsible for. Many now feel that Parks Canada has lost sight of the fact our national parks are meant to be enjoyed by all Canadians, not managed behind closed doors at the expense of the very people who live near, work in, and visit the park. I urge you to take immediate steps to rebuild that trust. Specifically, 1. Reverse the decision and reinstate the previously announced one boat, one lake policy, which allowed responsible and controlled access while addressing environmental concerns. 2. Assign new local leadership to the Riding Mountain Field Unit. Trust in the current superintendent's office has been severely damaged, and a change is necessary to restore confidence. I hope you will take this matter seriously and respond with action. And again, that is from Dan Mazer, the Member of Parliament from Riding Mountain. And there's also additional letters. This letter, Riding Mountain National Park needs a new superintendent. And this is from Christian Robin, President of Clear Lake Cabin Owners Association. And this letter to the editor is addressed to Ron Hallman, who is President and CEO of Parks Canada Agency. Dear Mr. Hallman, there comes a time when leadership must be held accountable, not just for a single decision, but for a sustained pattern of failure. That time has come in Riding Mountain National Park. The sudden reversal of the one boat, one lake policy, announced mere hours before the May long weekend, was a deeply destabilizing moment for residents, businesses, and visitors, and the final breaking point in a long-standing and worsening pattern of disregard for this community. For months, Park Canada staff repeatedly assured the public that the policy would remain in place for the 2025 season. Based on those assurances, business owners hired staff, families booked vacations, and operators made significant investments. Then, without notice or credible rationale, those plans were upended. Let us be clear, this is not just about a policy decision. It is about a persistent culture of opacity, exclusion, and disregard. In our letter dated September 3rd, 2024, we raised these exact concerns and offered practical solutions, including a renewed framework for collaboration. In your officer's response of October 23rd, 2024, we were assured that transparency and engagement were priorities, and we were directed to local staff to begin deeper conversations. Despite this, those conversations never materialized, and those local staff you asked us to engage with have since stepped away from the field unit. Instead, the situation has deteriorated further. Under the current leadership, communication from the Riding Mountain Field Unit has become increasingly dismissive. Transparency has collapsed. Community input is ignored. Questions go unanswered. Stakeholders feel they are not treated as partners, but as nuisances. The residents and stewards of this area, our members included, have consistently offered to help, to engage, and to be part of the solution in protecting Riding Mountain's ecological integrity. We have done so in good faith, but again and again that good faith has been met with indifference or outright contempt. This is not leadership, it's dysfunction, and it has broken public trust and galvanized support for immediate action. We are calling on you to replace the superintendent of the Riding Mountain Field Unit with someone who will rebuild what has been lost, someone who will lead responsibly, engage transparently, and view local residents not as adversaries, but as allies in the stewardship of one of Canada's most treasured national parks. Riding Mountain is not simply a vacation destination. It is a vital part of life for the people who live near it, work within it, and care deeply about its future. They deserve, and have repeatedly asked for, leadership that reflects that reality. And again, that is from Christian Robin, President of the Clear Lake Cabin Owners Association. And, oops, can't get the paper open. There we go. And the new hospital spurs renewed recruitment efforts in Neepawa by Joshua Jackson. With construction well underway on the new hospital for our community, the town of Neepawa is bolstering its doctor recruitment strategy. During the Tuesday, May 20th council meeting, Neepawa Mayor Brian Headley provided an update on activities undertaken by the town to staff the new hospital. Work on the facility is ongoing and construction is slated to wrap up in 2025. The facility is expected to be handed over to Prairie Mountain Health in mid-2026 and open to its first patients in the late 2026 or early 2027. The new medical center, which is double the size of the current hospital, will create 150 new positions. One of the key areas Neepawa has been focusing on is recruiting and retaining doctors to work, live, and stay in the town. Mayor Headley highlighted the renovation of the old RCMP building, which created a training center that opened in 2024, with Assiniboine College's licensed practical nursing program operating on a rotating basis. The first program started in January 2024, runs for 2 years, and will return in 2027. Neepawa has recently hosted an information session targeted at international nurses within the community, outlining the steps to re-enroll in school to obtain Canadian accreditation. Town officials have been in discussion with the province, Assiniboine College, and other institutions across the province to explore what kind of training they can bring to Neepawa. They have been looking into one-year options, such as a condensed medical administration course and English courses to help students improve their skills. Town Council has long advocated for the construction of a new vocational high school, which will provide the community with additional training opportunities. Coupled with a new daycare, Mayor Headley expressed optimism, noting that access to adequate childcare is a key recruitment hurdle Neepawa faces. Representatives of the town have also participated in the University of Manitoba's academic session with resident doctors, pitching Neepawa as an enticing place to live and work for resident doctors and upcoming graduates. While it's true that Neepawa is not facing a severe shortage of doctors like is happening in many rural communities in Manitoba, we recognize that greater attention needs to be given to recruiting doctors and nurses, and it's even more important as we get closer to opening the new hospital, said Mayor Headley. The town has met with the Beautiful Plains Medical Recruitment and Retention Committee to discuss actions that will support successful recruitment. Meetings have also taken place with local doctors to better understand the recruitment and retention process from their perspectives. Additionally, the town has met with the Physician Recruitment and Retention Coordinator from Prairie Mountain Health to discuss recruitment initiatives and assess their effectiveness. Neepawa has met with the provincial officials, including Minister of Labour and Immigration Malaya Marcelino, to discuss recruitment and retention, particularly regarding the removal of barriers for internationally educated nurses, medical graduates, and doctors. Meetings have also been held with Uzoma Azagarawa, Deputy Premier and Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care, and Renee Cable, Minister of Advanced Education and Training, regarding partnerships to support recruitment and training efforts. We have plenty more ongoing programs over the next few months and events we will be attending as well. There's quite a bit being done by council and staff in that area, said the mayor. And keeping the community clean and enjoyable. Garbage cleanup in Neepawa is a team effort by Casper Warehan. A photo dated May 20th, shows a variety of litter items where they don't belong, the streets of Neepawa. The town spring cleaning takes place this weekend, but putting trash where it belongs is a shared responsibility. Spring is a time for new beginnings. A part of that refreshment comes in the form of spring cleaning, not just of one's home, but of their community. However, concerns were brought to the newspaper regarding Neepawa's cleanliness, specifically in relation to litter and dust. The Neepawa Banner and Press reached out to Colleen Sinchishan, Neepawa's Chief Administrative Officer, who provided information to address these concerns on May 22nd. The town of Neepawa holds an annual spring cleanup for the purpose of cleaning up the community, including the disposal of stray garbage, litter. This cleanup is scheduled each year for the month of May, with the town also encouraging the cleanup of yards and properties. In addition, several members of the Filipino community gather on a specific day to clean up areas, such as the compost site and the highway, said Sinchishan. The cleanup for 2025 is taking place this weekend, on Saturday, May 31st. Sinchishan noted that while this may seem to be scheduled later compared to prior years, the time frame is relatively similar. We would propose that the early spring and the fantastic weather that we experience would tend to lead people to believe that things are behind, said Sinchishan. Regarding dust and street sweeping within the town of Neepawa, Sinchishan explained that the town's street sweeper was temporarily out of service. The unit was in need of repairs and so had not been out and about. The unit is now operating and staff have started cleaning the streets, said Sinchishan. Keeping the community clean and its public spaces enjoyable is also a community effort. Any help in this effort is both welcomed and encouraged by the town of Neepawa. Community members can assist in keeping Neepawa clean and tidy by actively participating in the picking up of litter on streets, in parks, and any other public area in Neepawa. Participating in this type of activity is welcomed on a year-round basis and is encouraging people to do their part when it comes to proper disposal of waste, said Sinchishan. We encourage anyone who sees litter to lead by example and pick it up, and remember that if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. Sinchishan added, volunteering is a great option that shows pride in the community and easily makes a difference in ensuring a community is an inviting and pleasing place to be. Any who wish to volunteer may contact the town of Neepawa via phone at 204-476-7600, by email at info@neepawa.ca, or by dropping into the office at 275 Hamilton Street. The public should also be reminded of the following. Pack it in, pack it out. Anything you bring with you, bring it home with you. Dispose of it properly. All garbage belongs in the garbage. Similarly, recycle when applicable. It is the responsibility of all pet owners to clean up after their pets and dispose of the waste properly, bagging and disposing of it in the garbage. Today's youth are often regarded as the future. For this reason, it may also be of interest to readers of this paper that students within the Beautiful Plains School Division, BPSD, are also deeply involved in garbage cleanup programming. BPSD's superintendent and CEO, Jason Young, provided details sent from each of the schools in both Neepawa and Carberry. In Neepawa, the Neepawa Middle School conducts a yard cleanup approximately 5 or 6 times in both fall and spring. Classes volunteer to go out and pick up garbage, and at least twice a year an entire grade, which equates to about 110 students, clean up the entire playground. This includes the Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute track area and just over the fence into the Yellowhead grounds. The NACI's gym class takes part in garbage pickup on NACI property seasonally, as well as when the need arises. The school sports teams also take part in garbage pickup, with consideration for NACI being allowed to use the Yellowhead parking lot. School staff have also sent reminders to students about garbage in this location, as well as a general reminder on school grounds. The NACI administration added, as with any large facility with hundreds of people, both our students and public, assessing facilities, we recognize the challenges with keeping things clean and well kept. We thank our communities, and especially our neighbors around the schools, for their understanding as we navigate these realities. Neepawa's youngest school grade students are also involved, as Hazel M. Kellington assigns classes for playground cleanup for the week. HMK also does not allow food to be taken outside during recesses, as snacks are provided in the classroom. Classes do cleanup walks around the school area. These walks stretch a little further into the community on Earth Day. In Carberry, the Carberry Collegiate's grade 10 students' life work planning classes get out and about cleaning yards and other areas for people as part of their youth and philanthropy project. Middle year classes also rotate on a weekly basis to aid in cleaning up the schoolyard. Students of RJWA finished a community-wide cleanup earlier this month on May 2nd. Various students also clean up garbage during recess and receive shout-outs on announcements. The custodian also cleans up during the day shift. And move on. And Minnedosa business target of theft, seeking information, by Casper Warehan. CJ's Cannabis and Wellness greeted the morning with a smashed window and stolen goods last week. The incident took place on Wednesday, May 21st, and one comes approximately 1 month after a similar incident struck the Minnedosa business in late April. This latest occurrence of break and enter, coupled with theft, took place at 1:40 a.m. on May 21st. At this time, the suspect approached from the north, smashed a window, and used the opening to enter the facility. Similar to the first theft, the individual then stole a portion of the store's inventory before fleeing the scene. As the suspect left the store, they once again headed north. Sadie Yannick, manager, provided a comment on behalf of CJ's Cannabis and Wellness, stating, "This incident doesn't only impact us, but it impacts our community. People don't feel safe in Minnedosa anymore. Our comfortable store doesn't feel so cozy anymore. With our windows boarded up, it's much darker than usual in here. It sucks. It's a violating feeling, and we don't feel as safe as we did once when we were working." The incident was caught on tape via the store's security camera. While much of the suspect's face was not visible, the available description of the suspect at the time of the incident is tall, skinny, dark skin, and possibly with a limp. If anyone has seen or heard anything in relation to this criminal activity, are asked to contact CJ's Cannabis and Wellness or the Minnedosa RCMP. CJ's Cannabis and Wellness can be contacted via email at cjscannabisandwellness@hotmail.com or by phone at 204-867-2172. The Minnedosa RCMP can be reached via its non-emergency line at 204-867-2916. And on to Carberry. Carberry wants safety, not shortcuts. Gathering held protesting the R-Cut proposal for Trans-Canada by Owen Devereaux. Carberry pictured around 200 people assembled near the Trans-Canada intersection on Thursday, May 22nd, to express their concern for the potential selection of the R-Cut option for the renovation of the highway. This action is in reaction to the 2023 auto accident that killed 17 people. Carberry residents are voicing their opposition to what appears to be the preferred change being proposed for an intersection along the Trans-Canada Highway. On Thursday, May 22nd, several hundred local residents gathered at the crossing of Highways 1 and 5 in protest of the proposed R-Cut design. The R-Cut is one of 3 redesigns being considered in response to the 2023 multi-vehicle accident that killed 17 people. The intersection was the site of a crash in which a minibus full of Dauphin area seniors was struck by a semi-truck. After the tragedy, the Manitoba government announced 3 potential options to make the road safer, with one of them being a reduced collision U-turn, R-Cut. The majority of community members, however, have called for an overpass. Residents are saying that option appears to have been nixed by the province earlier this year. Debbie Steen was one of the organizers of the rally and explained to the Banner and Press that locals feel as though their concerns are being ignored. After the third public consultation and actually witnessing some of the consulting firm members actually roll their eyes at us for any opposition to the R-cut, it was just blatantly obvious that that was what they wanted. They said they hadn't made a decision, but they have. No one walked out of there with confidence that they were going to do the right thing, said Steen. I've heard from many people locally on this, and what spurred me on. As well as that, they've said that they would just take Provincial Road 351 to Brandon instead. So you're just moving all the potential for accidents elsewhere. If you move ahead with an option that's not something we think will work here. Jordan Dixon, who assisted with arranging the rally, agreed and added locals hope the province will start listening to what they have to say. We're speaking up for what we actually believe is the best interest of, not just ourselves, but motorists passing through the area, Dixon said. It feels, especially after the last meeting in March, that they're just trying to move this along so they can put a check mark on their board and move on and forget about us. We don't want to be forgotten about. To go along with the rally, an open letter laying out the reasons for opposing Landmark Consulting, the safety consultant's perceived preference, was sent to the province. The letter cites several concerns, including reduced accessibility and emergency response to delays amongst the reasoning. The redesign of the intersection, whatever it may be, is set to begin in early 2026 and should be open to traffic in the fall. And more is happening in Carberry, a day for the whole community. Hundreds attend the third annual Remembering Kalina event in Carberry. And pictured, you can see above a group photo of all those who attended and participated in this year's event. What a turnout. Adults and youth alike enjoyed the community spirit presented. And on the left, a refreshment station that ensured everyone was kept hydrated while they were out on the runs and walks. And right here, the 2025 edition of the Remembering Kalina Green event, hosted annually in Carberry, was very well supported on May 24th. Those in attendance enjoying the weather while out on their walk, and fresh barbecue was prepared for when they returned on the right. And by Casper Warehan. Carberry's R.J. Waugh Elementary School grounds were host to a large crowd on Saturday, May 24th. That day, at 3 p.m., hundreds turned out to attend the third annual Remembering Kalina Green event. Organized by Kalina's family, this event is a memorial fundraiser held to honor Kalina's memory and to raise funds for the future Carberry Splash Park. It also recognizes the losses felt throughout the community and welcomes all to honor their own loved ones. As much as this day is about Kalina, it's about everyone here, the whole community, Jera Green said that day. Everyone has lost someone, and we understand the grieving process. This day is for those that we are still here, and for those we have lost. Thank you so much for coming out here today. Additional opening comments were followed by a moment of silence. Then all participants were invited to begin their run or walk, touring around a portion of Carberry while enjoying the beautiful weather. Returning to the school grounds, they were welcomed with refreshments and freshly barbecued food. Overall, the 2025 installment of this event marked yet another chapter full of shared community support, love, conversation, and smiles. The funds raised this year are still being tabulated prior to this newspaper's print deadline. However, Jera noted that the total funds raised in Kalina's honor over the past couple of years is $78,000. The Neepawa Banner and Press looks forward to sharing an updated total once the results from the 2025 event become available. The splash park would be a great addition to the community for everyone to enjoy, said Jera. If we can help the splash park and get it in place, that would be amazing. Thanks is extended to all who helped make the 2025 Remembering Kalina Green event a success. And there's a splash park update. The Neepawa Banner and Press was able to receive a fundraising update from the Splash Park Committee on Monday, May 26th. The Splash Park's fundraising goal is $750,000, and the overall total of funds raised thus far is nearing the $200,000 mark. Any who wish to support the Carberry Splash Park Committee may do so at any time by getting in touch with them via email at carberrysplashpark@gmail.com. Fundraising initiative updates can also be found on the committee's social media, titled Carberry Splash Park Fundraising. Reaching out to the committee via their social media is also welcome. And summer renovations are a priority for the Yellowhead Centre by Owen Devereaux. There's no such thing as an off-season for the people who work to keep the doors of the Yellowhead Centre open for all. While the vast majority of local users groups won't be back inside the building until the fall, the board and members and staff for the volunteer-operated facility are hard at work on a few big summer plans. Yellowhead Board President Wayne Jacobson said the first of these projects should be getting underway soon and involves the creation of a new barrier-free, accessible washroom, as well as the relocation of the Director of Operations office. What's being planned is a new washroom, an accessibility washroom. It will be located right where the office is on the main hallway between the arena and the hall. We'll be able to connect to the kitchen's water and sewer systems, and that's going to make this process a little bit easier, explained Jacobson. And as soon as we can, the Yellowhead Director of Operations office will be moved upstairs. What's being planned is we're taking the existing office space next to where the public address systems are and expanding that office. So we're going to move that wall further 4 feet further south, and as well install a window to overlook the concourse, similar to what's set up in the Neepawa Titans office space on the other side. There had been some discussion within the community that the Yellowhead would be taking over the office space currently occupied by the Neepawa Titans. That will not be the case, as the Junior A Club and the Yellowhead management will both be set up on elevated office space above the consort. A portion of the costs associated with these upgrades will be covered by provincial grants the Yellowhead successfully applied for. Up to $25,000 is available to assist with the construction of the accessibility washroom. To go along with the installation of a toilet sink and other items, a new entranceway facing south into the hallway will be built. The schedule for the renovations is still being ironed out, but Jacobson is optimistic that the relocation of the office will be done by the fall, and the new washroom will be operational by the end of the year. But that's not all. Other improvements are also being scheduled for the summer, with the most significant impacting the HVAC systems located in the Yellowhead Hall. HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and handles all of the heating and cooling equipment. The two existing HVACs are 25 years old and on the cusp of expiration. Jacobson noted that upon learning of the situation, the Neepawa Plumbing and Heating contacted them to offer a solution. Neepawa Plumbing and Heating have two HVACs and offered to sell them at a greatly reduced price. We are very appreciative of that, said Jacobson. There will still be a significant cost installing them. They're huge and you've got to bring them in on a crane. But every dollar counts, so to be able to get them at a reduced rate is very helpful. The exact timeline for that installation is not official just yet, but the hope is that it could be completed by September. Other changes you will notice at the Yellowhead will be the installation of brand new rubber matting in all the dressing rooms. As for the existing rubber mats, a portion will be repurposed for the floor along the ice rink. With some many planned upgrades and maintenance needed for the Yellowhead Centre, Jacobson noted that the Yellowhead Board does the best it can to balance the operation of the facility with its overall costs to run. He added the numbers are tight, so any assistance from those in the Beautiful Plains community is always welcome and appreciated. We do everything we can in terms of grants and fundraising, but I guess that the long and short of anything happening in this facility, we absolutely need the community financial support to make things happen. And St. Rose de Lac RCMP make arrests connected to break-and-enters. On May 17, 2025, at approximately 9 p.m., St. Rose de Lac RCMP received a report of assault occurring on Provincial Road 481 in the RM of Alonza. While officers were responding, an update was received that the suspects were involved in a break-and-enter at a residence and a vehicle had been stolen. It was also reported weapons were left behind at the scene. While conducting patrols in Ebb and Flow First Nation, officers located the stolen vehicle and a tire deflation device, spike belt, was deployed on the vehicle. The vehicle struck the spike belt and was located nearby with two male youth occupants inside. The youth had used bear spray on multiple victims at the scene where the vehicle had come to a stop, including an Ebb and Flow safety officer. Police arrived on scene and deployed pepper spray on the youth inside the vehicle, but they were both arrested without further incident. Both males are facing charges of assaulting a peace officer, assault with a weapon ×2, dangerous operation motor vehicle, possession property obtained by crime over $5,000, possession controlled substance for the purpose of trafficking, possession weapon dangerous purpose. The St. Rose de Lac RCMP have also arrested and remanded Marissa Morceau, 27, of Evanflow First Nation, in relation to the break and enter, and she is charged with possession of property obtained by crime. An additional stolen vehicle, located on Provincial Road 48, was also recovered that was used prior at the break and enter and was heavily damaged. RCMP are still looking for Cody Moore, 29, of Crane River, who's wanted in relation to the break and enter. It is believed Moore is in the Crane River or Ebb and Flow First Nation areas. If anyone has any information, they are asked to call the St. Rose de Lac RCMP at 204-447-3082, Crime Stoppers Anonymous at 1-800-222-8477, or secure tip online at www.manitobacrimestoppers.com. The investigation continues. And Westlake Gladstone earns raves for its roads. The municipality of Westlake Gladstone recently received several awards from the Manitoba Good Roads Association. It received Best Maintained System of Municipal Roads in Rural Municipality in District 4, Class 1, and the municipality showing most improvement in municipal roads in District 4, Class 2. Pictured in the photos, left to right, Midwestern District Director Melvin Starzik, Assistant CAO Andrea Smith, and Public Works Operation Manager Terry Solner. The municipality would like to acknowledge and thank all of the operators and staff for their hard work and dedication towards the ongoing maintenance and delivery of municipal services. And end-of-life doula established at 7 regions palliative care. While it's a profession that may be difficult to discuss, the role of an end-of-life doula for families in a time of hardship cannot be underestimated. Also known as a death doula, the position involves a non-medical professional who provides support and guidance to individuals and their families during the dying process. They help with everything from advanced care planning to emotional support and practical assistance. It is a new position that has been recently established within 7 regions palliative care. Earlier this spring, April Heller completed her end-of-life doula certification with advanced training in grief and bereavement support. April is also the palliative care coordinator for 7 regions, covering Westlake Gladstone to Amaranth, Alonza, Glenella, Arden, and bordering up to McGregor. Her role is to help people and their families with end-of-life choices, wishes, and preparations. Some key aspects as an end-of-life doula can help support and facilitate are advanced care planning, advocate for the ill loved ones' family and healthcare teams, family discussions about end-of-life wishes and how to best honor the needs of the ill loved one, occasional respite for primary caregivers of a terminally ill loved one, vigil planning and support, provide local options and information about end-of-life planning, including resources that will help both the ill loved one and their family, as well as medical equipment, and offering emotional and, if desired, spiritual support, as well as non-medical alternatives for pain relief, such as guided meditation, music, etc., to the terminally ill loved one. End-of-life doulas are not nurses, nor are they funeral directors. They are there to support those who are preparing to make their final transition to their next journey. We all strive to live good lives, and yet when it comes to topics of death and dying, we are so seldom give too much thought or consideration to our final wishes. Our transition to spirit can be meaningful and sacred as we choose. For those who would like to transition at home or in facility, an end-of-life doula can be a tremendous support to both the dying and the family that surrounds them. Not there to take charge or offer solutions, but there to facilitate difficult discussions and to create a space of calm, peace, and beautiful energy for those who are navigating their final and most significant passage in this life as they journey to the next. And Neepawa cadets earn their stripes. And pictured on Thursday, May 22nd, the number 9 Neepawa Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron gathered at the Neepawa Airport to showcase the prowess, excellence, and discipline they have learned throughout the year during their annual ceremonial review. Around 16 cadets were dressed in uniform, performed marches, and proved their excellence to a crowd of friends and family who came to celebrate. During the review, members of the number 9 Neepawa Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron were awarded their levels, rank advancements, and recognition for their achievements throughout the year. And pictured, you can see some of the cadets in their marching and standing. And we were lucky. Neepawa crews raced to fix waterline breaks by Joshua Jackson. The town of Neepawa dealt with a large waterline break which forced some temporary water restrictions within Neepawa over the May long weekend. We had a break on our raw water line, so that's intake coming into the water plant. There was no risk to the public, and this did not affect potable water, just the water pre-treatment, said Manager of Operations Denise Cathy. Violent winds throttled the town on Friday, May 16th, damaging the antenna at the town's well, which transmits signals from the pump to the plant. Instead of running and shutting off on demand, the pump kept running, not shutting off like usual, and kept building up pressure, causing the 2 line breaks. One of the breaks was just south of the water treatment plant, and a second break was in the west ditch of number 5 near Lillinook. The town of Neepawa noticed the line break around Saturday at 5 p.m. and launched into repair mode with an action plan, locating the source of the break and then calling the contractors to help alleviate the problem. At 6 p.m. on Saturday, May 17th, crews were dispatched to the site to assess and repair the leak. Between 6:30 and 8 p.m., all contractors were mobilized on site to work on the waterline break. By 10:30 p.m. on Saturday, crews had determined the cause of the problem was a high-pressure break that destroyed one of the connections. At 12:29 a.m. on Sunday, May 18th, the town issued a warning asking citizens to limit their water usage. During the evening, the contractor managed to locate replacement parts in Winnipeg, and by the time the town was alerted of a potential second waterline break, one of the contractors drove to Winnipeg in the evening to secure the parts and was back on site at 3:30 a.m. Crews worked on excavating and preparing the site further for the replacement. By 6:55 a.m., workers ran their first tests on the replacement part and started repairing the second incident. By 9 a.m. on Sunday, workers had fully repaired the first break, and all crews were helping contain the second break. At 1:30 p.m., both water lines were repaired, and crews were wrapping up work. We had no means to take any water, none whatsoever. A shutdown of this magnitude would usually take weeks, if not months, of planning, and we would have had all of our reservoirs overfilled, so we could have drawn from that for a longer time, noticed Saket. Were we lucky? Absolutely. The timing of the highways not being busy, businesses not running, and the long weekend with people being away as well, which was noticed. The operations manager emphasized the water use warning to the public was sent out as a precaution. We didn't know if we would repair things in sufficient time. The speculation was that we would be running out of water by early Sunday morning if it was a typical usage day, he said. Within 25 hours of the break happening, everything was repaired and the water treatment plant was back operating normally. All in all, we dodged a near disaster with probably an hour or two of water left within our reservoirs. I have to thank the public when we said to ration your water and not hoard it. They listened and it shows, said the operations manager. If we had lost full pressure in the community, we would have been placed under a boil water advisory, and that's at least a week of establishing clean water to the community. Murray Black to be inducted into the Manitoba Football Hall of Fame. And pictured from left to right, Football Manitoba Hall of Fame board member Maureen Cowling, Murray Black, 2025 inductee, and Bud Ulrich, the former chairman of the Football Manitoba Hall of Fame. And pictured at the bottom is coaches Lauren Lajamodier, Murray Black, and Rick Baker at a Rural League All-Star game in the 1990s. This article is by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa's Murray Black's football legacy will soon be enshrined beside some of the greatest to ever be a part of the game in Manitoba. On Thursday, May 22nd, the Manitoba Football Hall of Fame announced its inductees for the 2025 class, and the former Neepawa Tigers coach's name was one of the 8 to be announced. Other notable inclusions this year also include former Manitoba Bison's head coach Brian Doby and Christine O'Donnell, one of the first women to play the sport alongside the boys in the province. They'll be joined by Jerome Swarth, Tough Football, Terry Andrao, Craig Baczynski, Richard Dudick, and Don McPherson, Builders category, and the Winnipeg Assassins Touch team in the club category. Black's resume to get into the Football Hall of Fame is incredible, as he coached the Neepawa Tigers for 23 years. Over the course of those seasons, he led the team to 7 championships, included a record-setting 6 straight titles within the Rural Manitoba Football League, 1993 to 1998. During those years of success, the team also won a historic 30 consecutive games and 2 provincial championships. As for personal accolades, Murray Black would also be recognized during his coaching tenure with the RMFL Coach of the Year Award on 3 separate occasions. While Murray Black knew that he had been under consideration for the Manitoba Football Hall of Fame for several years, he just learned of his official selection a few weeks ago. I had learned of my nomination actually during the pandemic, but then everything shut down. Nothing happened. And so I didn't really give it much thought there for 3 or 4 years. But then 2 weeks ago, I get a call and they're saying, "We didn't forget about you and what you'd accomplished," said Black. Murray Black is the second member of that legendary Tiger squad from the 90s to be recognized, as fellow coach Lauren Lajamodier was added to the Football Hall of Fame in 2023. Black said while he's pleased with the individual honor, he hopes that someday the team as a collective will get its acknowledgement. That was something special, to have that success for such an extended run. At the time, we didn't know how good we were, but looking back, we were pretty good. 6 championships and 5 in a row in rural Manitoba is still a record. There were some players on that team that never lost a game. It's something to be proud of, and hopefully they get a chance to celebrate that. The 11th annual induction ceremony for the Manitoba Football Hall of Fame is scheduled for Thursday, September 25th in Winnipeg. And a Titans prospect inks his letter of intent by Joshua Jackson. This week, the Neepawa Titans announced that forward Rowan Michaluk has signed a letter of intent to join the Junior A Hockey Club. The 2007-born forward most recently played with the under-18 AAA Wheat Kings. Last year, Michaluk played 46 games for the Wheaties and had 12 goals and 16 assists. And a pair of Titans commit to post-secondary programs by Joshua Jackson. 2 graduating students of the Neepawa Titans have found a home to play hockey after their time in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. Neepawa Titans forward Mason Hartley is heading west to British Columbia to play with the University of Victoria Vikes of the British Columbia Intercollegiate Hockey League, which has 5 teams, including Simon Fraser University and Vancouver Island University. Hartley, the 2004-born player who hails from Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, has been a staple of the Titans for the last 3 seasons, racking up 95 points in 148 games with the club. In the 2025 season, the Titans product scored 25 goals and added another 27 assists for the squad. Hartley would make his presence known in the playoff series against the Northern Manitoba Blizzard after picking up 1 shorthanded goal and 5 assists in 6 games. The other graduating Neepawa Titan to move on to the next level of hockey is Colton Alexander, who will be heading to play NCAA Division III hockey with the State University of New York, Canton Kangaroos. Alexander, a product of Cochrane, Alberta, joined the team midway through the 2023-24 season after playing in the Alberta Junior Hockey League. In 2 seasons with the Titans, the 2004 right winger amassed 18 goals and 36 assists, totaling 54 points in the MJHL. Come to the playoffs, the Titans scored 1 goal and carried 3 assists. The Neepawa Banner and Press wish these players all the best in their future endeavors. Portage Padres win big in Neepawa. Santa Clara Baseball League weekend results by Owen Devereaux. Every sports team ends up having that one game during the season that they just want to forget about. For the Neepawa Cubs, that game arrived early on the schedule in the form of a 20-1 loss to the Portage Padres on Friday, May 23rd. Over the course of the game, the Padres players were able to find the defensive gaps in Neepawa's fielding, while the Cubs simply couldn't do the same. Garrett Malley went 4 for 5 with 3 runs scored for Portage, while teammate Tanner Boyle also had a huge night, going 4 for 6 at the home plate. It was also a tremendous even for the Padres. Pitcher Tyler Olson, who threw a complete game 4-hitter with 4 strikeouts. Neepawa's Taylor Fletcher was tagged with the loss. The result was vastly different from the game these same two teams played in Portage on Wednesday, May 21st, which was a much closer 6-5 final for the Padres. But whether it was by 1 run or by 19, a loss is still a loss for the Cubs, who dropped to 0-2 on the season. Portage, meanwhile, improves to a 3-0 early in the Santa Clara season. It was also a one-sided result down the road in Plumas, as the Pirates dominated the Austin A's 18-1. Sam Contz went 4 for 5 at the plate for Plumas with 5 RBI. Ryland Denbo collected the win with 9 strikeouts. Combined with a road win earlier in the week, the Pirates have started the season 2-0, or 2-0. Minnedosa wins in Carberry. George McNeil knocked in 7 RBI for the Minnedosa Mavericks, powering them to an 11-8 win over the Carberry Royals on Sunday, May 25th. McNeil also had a 3-run home run. Devin Ford, meanwhile, scored 3 runs for the Mavs. Pitcher Luke Gugan earned the win on the mound with Minnedosa, with Liam Bakowicz had the save with 3 innings of relief. Earlier in the week, these two teams tied 10-10. And artist captures the beauty we drive past every day. On Saturday, May 24th, Brandon artist Weiming Zhao captured the beauty of Neepawa's United Anglican Church. In his spare time, Weiming travels to communities across Westman to paint. Examples of his variety of work can be found online at his Instagram, Weiming Art, and Facebook, Weiming Zhao, Chasing Light and Color with Paint and Brush Pages. And a picture from the Beautiful Plains Archive, Neepawa's Major Midgets team from 1980. Pictured here is the Neepawa Major Midgets team for the year 1980, seen alongside their coaching staff. The individuals pictured here are listed below as they appear from left to right. The manager, Stan Oliver, coach Bud Johnson, Neil Wareham, Albert Naismith, Martin Jeffrey, Kelly Murray, Van Johnson, Chris Anderson, Rick Fair, and assistant coach Neil Miller. Middle row, Jim Radford, Brad Davison, Mike Miscavige, Eugene Dennis, David Smithson, Doug Oliver, and Ian Scott. And the front row, goalies Kevin Carver and Wayne Epp. And quilting up a storm in Minnedosa. The Minnedosa Peacemakers Quilt Guild, friends and members of Neepawa's Victoria Quilts, had a very busy quilting session earlier this month. There were 23 participants at the session, which was a planned day to create quilt tops for cancer patients that received them through Neepawa's Victoria Quilts. This was the Minnedosa Peacemakers' 3rd time hosting a session like this in the past 10 years. The quilting session was hosted in the St. Mark's Anglican Church. According to Catherine Kingdon, who was involved in the session, a total of 15 quilt tops were started that day. The tops were then to be pleated on another planned date. And the 2025 Gladstone Music and Arts Festival results. The 92nd Gladstone Music and Arts Festival, held in April, showcased talented young performers sharing their passion for music and the arts. The festival offers a valuable educational experience, providing performers with construction feedback from seasoned professional adjudicators to help them refine their skills and deepen their appreciation of the arts. Students from the Gladstone, Plumas, McGregor, Austin, Langruth, and Neepawa areas took part in piano, speech arts, vocal, band, and string sessions throughout the 5-day event. Thank you to the many volunteers who contributed to the success of the 2025 festival. The event would not be possible without the dedication of the festival committee and support of additional volunteers. And Explore Neepawa's History, Beautiful Plains Museum opens for the summer. Are you looking for ways to keep the kids entertained this summer while trying to combine fun with learning? Or are you and your friends curious about what life in Neepawa was like with trains and horse-drawn carriages bustling through the streets? You found the perfect place. The Beautiful Plains Museum is now open for the summer, welcoming all curious visitors. Located in the land of plenty, the Beautiful Plains Museum showcases a variety of displays that celebrate Neepawa's rich history. Our primary goal is to honor the stories, traditions, and diversity of the Neepawa community and surrounding areas. Interested in what folks shopped for in the past? Our general and jewelry stores feature an assortment of items, including clocks, gum, unique banknotes, and even children's board games. Want to learn about Neepawa's involvement in world wars? Visit our military room, which honors those who served the country and contributions of the Neepawa community to the Royal Canadian Air Force. If sports pique your interest, be sure to check out our sports and band rooms with exhibits, trophies, and early sports equipment reflecting Neepawa's enduring love for sports. As the summer curator of the museum, I'm excited to welcome you. My name is Verona Casagay, and I am incoming second-year music education major at Brandon University. My passions include inspiring kids to discover their love for music, learning about a wide range of topics, and spending quality time with family and friends. We are located at 91 Hamilton Street on the historic 1902 former Canadian Northern Railway Station. We'll be open for the season starting May 20th. Our summer hours are Tuesday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In July and August, we are also open on Sundays from 1 to 5. And choirs entertain in Neepawa. Neepawa's Knox Presbyterian Church was packed to the brim on Thursday, May 22nd. That evening, the Neepawa Area Community Choir hosted a concert with featured guests of the Choraleers, the Hymns, and NACI Chorale, and pictured a portion of the evening's skilled singers as seen during one of their performances. And a pair of local Neepawa Banner and Press advertisers win tickets to Dauphin Country Fest. The Neepawa Banner and Press held a draw where our advertisers' names were entered for a Dauphin Country Fest ticket. The winner of the Neepawa Banner and Press was Stride Credit Union. The above pictured left picture features Ken Waddell, publisher, presenting the ticket to Michelle Gilmore of Stride Credit Union. The picture on the right features Ken presenting the tickets to Colin McNerney, Provincial Director of Men's Shed. The group in turn gifted the ticket to the Minnedosa Lions Club for their Walk for the Guide Dogs Fun Day. And there's pictures from the fair. It was a great weekend. The weather was fine, and the rides were well attended. And that concludes the reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press for Friday, May 30th, 2025. I hope you enjoyed it.